page already. Good morning, Clive and Susan.
Good morning.
Yeah, I think we're going to have another lovely session.
I know, I'm looking forward to it, Paul. I really am. Got some good things.
We have indeed. So Louise has recently joined us, and you come with a wealth of knowledge and experience, don't you, Louise?
Yes, I've learnt from Linda and Tina quite a lot about all sorts of different techniques, embossing, colouring. Linda used to do a lot of colour work in her workshops, as well as tool work. So it's exciting when you get to learn from people that know a lot more about the subject than you.
Absolutely. So you've learned from the best, and you're here, you're going to be sharing that knowledge with everybody at home, aren't you?
Yes, so we got lots of exciting things coming this year.
We have.
So as much as I can teach, I've got a lot of knowledge to give to everyone. So
super. So the lovely Jane Telford should be in the room with you this morning. So if you've got any questions, she's there to help, and no doubt she'll sort of text me if there's anything that I've missed during the course of this hour. I'm guessing everybody can hear. I can see we've got Kelly in the room, and Glynis. There we go, all our lovely regulars. So there we go. I can see Jane's in the room already. So yeah, and it's lovely and sunny out there again today.
It is a lovely sunny day. So March is giving us a nice little treat.
It is
so
indeed.
Far.
Frosty in the morning, but nice and sunny. Yeah. So if you're new to Groovi Tuesday, what's it all about? Well, at 10 o'clock every Tuesday morning, we get together and we showcase a collection of plates or a specific plate, and then we put them through their paces. And last week we kicked off this current chapter with a brand new collection from Tina Cox, and this was the all-in-one collection, wasn't it?
Yeah, so there's 4 plates, and they originally came from Tina's Floral Swirls 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So Tina created these lovely pieces of artwork, and Barbara looked at them and thought, oh, they would make lovely composition plates for people, make it easy for people to just create that card straight away.
Yeah.
And then you're good to go. You know, you can then create all your techniques on top. So that's the good thing about these plates, is that they're just a finished artwork.
So they're perfect for parchers of all levels, whether you're new to Groovi or parchment craft, or maybe you've been doing it for many, many years.
Definitely, because these plates, they're a composition, good for beginners because they don't have to think about where to place everything.
Yeah.
But also, when you begin to become a bit more advanced, you can then create all your techniques, like your picot cutting and your tool work and your colouring on the front and on the back.
Excellent. So on Sunday, talking about sort of maybe you're new to Groovi and parchment art, or maybe you've been doing it for a while now. On Sunday, we launched a brand new.
Very exciting.
Yeah, the 1, 2, 3 online courses, and so Louise and I will be teaching that together, and it proved very, very popular on Sunday. If you missed that show, then you can go back to either our YouTube page and watch it back. You can go to the claritycrafts.com website and go to the catch up and craft section and watch it there. But we will sort of talk about it briefly during the course of this hour. But let's have a look at the plates that where this all comes from in relation to what we're working on with Tina's all-in-one. So if we go to the overhead, there we go. So this was the finished piece of artwork, wasn't it, that Tina created, as you said, using the original floral swirls and corners.
It is. So
I'm going to zoom in a little, Lou. Zoom in a little, Lou. There we go.
Isn't that beautiful?
There we go. We can push that up.
Tina's created some lovely colours with this bit of art. And also, this is using the letterboxes from the starter kit.
It is.
I believe.
So sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So Tina would have used several other plates to come up with this layout, wouldn't she? Like the scallop squares. She's used the nested circles.
So she's created. So if you have the starter kit and you have this plate, then you'll be able to create this finished piece of artwork, because you've got the letterboxes on the plate mate, And then there's just a little butterfly, which I'm sure everybody has a butterfly somewhere in their stash.
Yeah.
So just to create that bit of finished artwork.
Okay, so what does the plate look like then when it's traced out?
So the plate looks like this when it's traced out. The good thing about this as well is you can do other things with it, because you can turn this around to create a full circle. So if you didn't want this flower overlapping, you could just keep on turning the plate and you could create a lovely complete border.
Circle.
Yeah.
Okay. Whilst we're just talking, Louise, what I'm going to do, so obviously Louise is new to obviously sharing her knowledge via our social channels on Clarity TV and everything else. And so Louise speaks very, very softly and very, very quietly. And whereas me, I'm a lot louder. I've been doing it for many, many years. So it's a little bit of a learning curve. So we had a tweak with the microphones before the hour, and there's just one more adjustment we need to make. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the overhead. I'm going to talk about the plates, and I'm just going to ask Louise to take her microphone from the right-hand side and just put it on your left-hand side, so that when you're talking to me, you're above the microphone.
Right.
Okay. So while Louise is doing that, so this is the plate that we're looking at here. Then the next one, I quite like this one. This is just using a lovely corner, and then you've got this little flourish. You've got the very best wishes, and then this is what the plate looks like when as it comes to you. So that's that one there. What I'm also going to do, I'm going to bring up on the screen, if you're interested in this collection, I'm going to bring up the details on the side. Maybe you're tuning in for the first time. And then what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at the next one here. So we'll just adjust this as we go round. And all we're going to do, there we go. That should hopefully be better. So on this one, you've got the nested scallops, you've got the nested circles, lots of lovely picot cuttings, some white work on there.
Yeah, so there's a lovely, Tina's done a lovely colour scheme to this as well. The lovely green looks really nice against the artwork there as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, the designer paper in the background. Okay, so then we look at the plate as it's completely traced out. Yeah, so you can see, so all we've done on this one, we've just added a little sentiment in there, just to give added value. Tina did a little bit of grid work on her finished piece. And then we've got the final one in the collection.
This is the one that we're doing on the Groovi Tuesday, isn't it?
It is. So this is rather lovely, isn't it? And last week we started off working on this project by just tracing out the design as it comes.
Yeah, so we've just created the line art on the plain parchment. So this week we're going to be doing the line art on the midnight blue parchment. I've given you a couple of different choices, so you can choose your favourite as we go along and create this finished piece.
Okay, and what does the plate look like? Because it's quite, if I'm going to zoom out, if we can put them side by side, Louise,
yes,
just so you can see how different they look, don't they? So trace the plate out exactly as it comes, but then with some picot cutting, some white work, some embossing on there.
Looks like a masterpiece, doesn't it?
It does, but it is very achievable, isn't it?
It is, yeah. With the all-in-one plates, you have everything lined out for you. This part in the middle, the octagon, is exactly as it comes there. The only thing different is if you want to make the artwork a little bit larger with the midnight blue parchment, we're just going to have to bring out the corners just a little bit, to make the piece just a tad bit bigger.
Okay, perfect. So what Louise is going to do is we're going to have a quick recap on what we completed last week, and then Louise is going to talk us through those next couple of stages.
Yeah, so perfect. So this is what we did last week.
Okay.
We have created just the main line art. With the number 1 tool, I lined out the outside octagon.
Yeah.
And all of the line work you see. So all the scrolls are done in the number 1. And just all of the stems of the leaves and everything. The flowers and the leaves, here and here, they're all using the number 2 tool.
Okay, and they're the tools that come within the starter kit?
They are, yes. So
okay.
Mostly with this artwork, I will be using just the Groovi tools from the starter kit. I might bring in the number 3 and 4.5.
Pergamano tools?
Yes.
The ball tools, okay.
So they're the medium size. So they're not the largest, the 6mm, but they're not the small ones.
Okay.
1.5. So
Perfect.
we're using those as well. So let me just show you what we will be doing. So I've given you 2 options using this plate. So let me just, why is that turned on? Go away.
So we're still taking the elements from the same plates of tracing out, aren't we?
Yes. So,
and where do we? So when we look at Tina's piece of artwork, which area of this are we looking at now?
So we will be doing the outside part. So this part here, I've just created one before Groovi Tuesday started.
Yeah.
So I've given you 2 options, and that is using, let me just move that away. It's using either this one here.
Okay.
Or this one here. And that's creating 2 choices of the corners. So this one and this one.
I see. So if we compare that to the plate then, just bring that plate in, just see, so we can see here.
Yes.
How we've got this little element here.
Created this
creates
element.
That one.
Has created this one. And then just turning it around. This one just overlaps into the corner.
Oh,
and we've
see.
created that one as well. So there's 2 choices for you. You can pick which one. I mean, they're both on the plate, so it makes life easy for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can choose which one you would like to complete the finished artwork. When we come to the grid work, we're going to be using the diagonal grid plates to just put in the corners. So this one's a nice one to put the grid work in the corner as well.
And when you talk about grid work, what do you mean by that if we look at Tina's piece of artwork?
Yes, so Tina has created some lovely grid work in the middle. Just move that up a bit.
But in relation to that corner that you were just talking about.
So this part here,
yeah.
I've just used Tina's used the diagonal grid plate. So you can use the A6 square or the A5 square, whichever one you have.
Yeah.
Just to create the dots. So she's just systematically just all of the dots as it is on the grid has just put.
Emboss the pattern in there.
Yes.
It's a lovely way of infilling, isn't it?
It is, and it looks really pretty. That it ties in, the white of that ties in then with the rest of the piece.
Okay.
So I will start by getting a piece of midnight blue parchment.
Okay, so here. Tina, when obviously she created this, Tina was using black parchment, which unfortunately we no longer stock. But the closest that you'll find is this fantastic, the midnight blue and the sky blue. This is some of our 2-tone parchment. And we found that if you take that midnight blue, because it's that very dark, rich blue,
yes,
and you pop it behind, put a piece of black card behind it, it is almost black, isn't it?
It is, yes. And it just gives you a little bit of a interesting colour. I mean, it's not actually that different.
No.
If you look at them both together, so that with the black and that with the black, this one just looks a tad more grey.
Because you're comparing like for like, aren't you?
Yeah, so there's not much difference in it, to be fair.
Okay.
So, so there's the midnight blue parchment.
Yep, so if you're interested in that, the item number is 40775.
Yep. So, let's start. I'm going to bring in my plate mate.
Okay.
I'm going to bring in my little bit of, this comes in with the light wave, which is
okay,
good.
So we we are using the light panel to work on this darker parchment.
We are, yes. It just makes life easier to see through it. There we go. Me and little monkey.
Okay, so let's have a look at.
There we go.
It didn't want to play on the counter.
You know, didn't want to come.
There we go. So at the moment you can't really see because it's white on white, but once Louise puts the light panel on, it will illuminate the design underneath, won't it? It will, yes. So I thought what I'd do actually beforehand is I will create the frame first. Okay. So I think I can just, can everybody, I think people can see the frame. Yeah, we can just about see that. That might be easier. So I'm going to get my Groovi sticker tabs. Okay. And what side of the parchment are we working on, Louise? So we're working on the back. So the back is glossy. So when you do your line art on the back and you press into it, the embossing into it, on the front, it will appear white. Okay. Whereas if you do it the other way around, you will, it's still lovely. You get like a watermark effect. You do, yes. Yeah. Which looks lovely. If you're doing backgrounds with a bit of coloured parchment, that looks really lovely, like a little watermark on the back. It's quite subtle, isn't it? As a background, yes, it looks beautiful. So I'm still just going to use my tumble dryer just to make life easy, just to lubricate the parchment. Okay. Even though, funny enough, that sometimes the coloured parchment, because it's got that colour, it slides easier than the plain parchment. So we're using the 6 square from the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just make sure that I'm getting it right. And you're using your Groovi guard to lean on. I am indeed, yes. I think because we all have sort of natural oils in our hands, sometimes they can transfer, and especially so on like the darker coloured parchment. I know I've often picked up and I've got fingerprints on there. Yes, it's very easy to do. Like the amount of plain parchment, you think your hands are clean, and all of a sudden you see some oils, fingerprints on there. But I was given a top tip on how to remove those. So when you're working with your parchment, if you found that you've got like your fingerprints on there, or because you haven't used like the Groovi guard, then there's 2 different ways of removing that. You can either take the eraser pencil, and that takes it off. Okay. Or, I mean, if you're using coloured parchment, you need to be careful because it takes colour off. But talcum powder, give it a dusting with talcum powder, and then just brush it and wipe it off, and it lifts off the oily marks from your parchment. Ah, now I know why Linda had a little pot of talcum powder on her desk when we used to do the workshops. Okay, so what? Oh, that look lovely. It's lovely and bright. Yes. There we go. Okay, so this is the frame in which we're going to work. We are, yes. So we're going to take the black mat away. I'll let you choose, Paul. Which corner would you like? Oh, I quite like... So we've got 2 options. I quite like this one. I like the simplicity of that design. It is very pretty, isn't it? Yes. Okay, we'll do that one. Okay. But the same way, you would just emboss the little flower with the scroll on the corner. And I suppose you've got those choices then, haven't you? You have. There's quite a few. You know, if you want the complete scroll, there's one here. You could use that on the corner. You just need to make the outside blue parchment a bit bigger. Okay. So we're still working on the back of the parchment, aren't we? We are, yes. There we go. So I'm going to zoom in a little now so our friends at home can get a little bit more closer with you. So I'm just going to line it up like so. So again, I'm going to be using my number 2 tool for the flower. Yeah. Because I'm going to be doing some white work. Okay. In that flower again. We won't be doing white work right in the centre of the flower because actually on Tina's artwork she's put a brad here, so we'll be using a brad. Oh, that's a good use, isn't it? The brads to attach. So it looks like a little lovely centerpiece in your flower. Nice little bit of silver. Tina's used silver, but you could use any colour really. Yeah. You could use white, black, silver. There we go. Yeah. So I'm just going to complete that all the way around. And it doesn't take, and it's not, we know, I say we know, excuse me, often when we're looking at artwork that Tina's created, and especially those pieces that where these plates came from, is that Tina likes to work in layers, doesn't she?
Yes, I absolutely love Tina's style, how she can create some beautiful layers, like the inside could be cut out. Just going over to my number 2 tool again.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some beautiful designs of Tina's. She loves using her layers.
And because we've got a vast colour palette of different parchment, then it works beautifully together, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was just saying to somebody earlier downstairs, I said, I thought the red would look lovely behind here. Some red parchment or some pink parchment. All sorts of colours. Or you could just have the octagon on itself and just put it behind your companion papers.
True. Yeah, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? If you didn't
want the corners, you could do that. But there's so many lovely colours to choose from.
And you've also got all the designer parchment as well.
Yeah, and so that would look lovely. Putting it behind some lovely designer parchment. We've got so many different colours of that as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
So again, I'm just using the number 2 tool again for the flower and the centres. It doesn't take long at all, really, does it?
No, I suppose because you're just adding that little added detail. And I think, as you mentioned earlier, Louise, that if you didn't want to use a different colour parchment, you could have done this on the original piece, couldn't you? If you just wanted one layer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, nothing's stopping you from doing it on the same layer, and then just maybe dorsing the edges or putting a little bit of colour. Because what you could do, let me just turn this off. What you could do is, if this was a plain part of parchment and you also had your octagon here, you could do your little embossed dots and colour using either the Perga colours or the Perga liners. So there's nothing stopping you from doing it on the same layer, not at all.
But doesn't that look so beautiful and crisp?
It does, yeah. So if I bring in the, there we go, this bit, which we haven't cut out yet, but I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah, you can see how that fits perfectly within that square.
Yeah, so you have an option of cutting the outside or pico cutting. Might be a good idea because there's a lot of pico cutting in this piece of artwork.
There is indeed, and if we look at Tina's piece of artwork, you'll notice that Tina concentrated to the centre of the design, didn't she, with all that pico cutting, and used sort of like a knife or a guillotine to trim down the outer edges.
Yeah, so if you can see, even in these little bits, she's literally pico cut all the scrolls as well.
And it's exactly what you're going to show us as well, aren't you, over the coming weeks?
By shaking hands, doing it on camera.
Okay.
There we go.
So is that all of the tracing done out now in relation to the line art?
It is, yeah. So we've traced out the inner part.
Yeah.
Just using that plate as it comes. So we haven't changed anything. The only thing I have changed is I haven't obviously put the 2 petals on the outside of this because it would carry on. But yeah, so that's it traced out, and then we've created our little traced out there. That will look really lovely with some diagonal or straight grid there. Or even if you wanted to do the little 4 and 4, you know, the 4 crosses, 4 dots.
Oh yes,
that would look beautiful in there as well, just to give it a bit more interest.
Okay, all right. So so just had text messages into my ear. Apparently it is the lovely Mo Neeson's birthday today, so many happy returns, Mo.
Happy birthday, Mo.
Thank you for joining us on this special day. And then apparently we have a new friend in the room, Daryl Henderson, and he just wanted to say thank you to the staff for helping with orders and advice. Oh, that's lovely. You're more than welcome.
You're welcome.
We're here to help. I'm sure Jane would have, if you're in the chat, you've got Groovi worldwide, you've got Clarity worldwide, we've now got you've got Pergamano worldwide, and you've also got the mini makes and ATCs groups as well. And they're so friendly.
Such a lovely community on there. There
Absolutely.
really is. Yeah.
And the lovely Grace, Barbara's daughter, she works for us over in our New York office. She's always in there sort of making sure everything is nice and safe. And a lot of our design team are in there and they keep an eye out as well.
They do, yes.
So if you ever stuck for anything, you can either call the office or you can ask in those groups and there'll definitely be someone there to help. Louise is always in there as well.
I am, yeah. In the evenings, I'm either doing parchment or scrolling through our various groups. I love seeing all the artwork that everybody creates. There's so many lovely pieces of artwork that you see every day on there.
The inspiration.
Yeah, so it's really hard not to go on there because it's like it's a way of meeting other people, having a chat. I mean, people make friends on there and then choose to meet up and do a little crafty session at home.
Yeah,
you know, it's
absolutely.
It's a lovely way to get started into a community of really friendly people.
Definitely. And with that common interest, whether it be sort of Clarity as a whole or whether it be parchment craft, maybe some of our friends have been doing parchment craft for many, many years in the traditional style and have had to stop and are now just coming back to re-enjoy the process.
They are, yeah. It's really good.
Okay. Right. So where are we going now, Louise?
Okay. So now we will be doing just a little bit of white work. So I'm working on the back.
Okay.
So Tina has embossed the little dots in the middle of the flower.
Yeah.
Mainly most of the flower petals.
Okay.
And the little sprigs. So yeah, that's where we're going. Got a lot of white work there. So shall I leave that there?
Yeah, if you're comfortable with that there whilst you're doing that.
People can see where I'm going and what I'm achieving.
Okay.
Okay, so I might start.
So are we still working on the hard side of the mat?
Yes, we're working on the soft side now.
Okay, so we've flipped that mat over. Whilst we were talking, Louise sneakily flipped that mat over. So, because we need to, this is where, for me, this is where I had to learn to be patient. And when I was new to parchment craft, it was all about, when I tried it traditionally, it was the line art that you had to do from a printed pattern.
Yes.
And it was getting that pressure right that you didn't go through the parchment. So the Groovi plates give you that line art with ease.
They do.
But now, because you've got the confidence to create that, now you want to learn the techniques.
Exactly.
So this could be a perfect opportunity for me to talk very briefly about the new 123 online courses that we launched on Sunday. Barb's had this idea of doing a series of 123 online courses, and they will cover Groovi parchment art, the gel press, stamping techniques, masks, stencils, collage, and everything else. And since we brought Louise on board, we thought Louise would be perfect to be able to share that knowledge with us. So what we did on Sunday, and just bring up the details on the screen. This is what we're calling our 123 online course. And this is a foundation course for Groovi crafters and parchment art. Now, when we're saying sort of foundation, what we mean by that is that what Louise is going to cover over those, it's over a series of 3 different weeks.
It is,
okay,
yes.
Let me rewind. So it's a course, online course over a series of 3 different weeks. There will be a live session on a completely different platform. We're calling it our Inner Circle. So it's not on Facebook and it's not on YouTube.
No.
And there will be a live session that will run from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And then there will also be a pre-record as well of those same hours, but it will just be with
uninterrupted.
Apart from me sort of asking questions and stuff. So that is available. And it's, when you break it down, I mean, it's £60 for the online course. And so that's like £20 a session for the 3 sessions. And what that means is that by purchasing that online course, you've got the key to the classroom. haven't you?
Yes.
So once you've got that key, it doesn't mean, oh, term time's up, I've got to have it all done within a certain period, like a month. It'll be there for you to keep going back again and again and again.
Yeah.
So Louise is going to cover the 3 sort of core techniques. Week 1, it'll be an introduction or a foundation on white work. Week 2, we'll be looking at colour work using the pergolina pencils.
We will, yeah.
And then week 3, it'll be an introduction to like picot cutting and a couple of multi-needle tools.
Yes, yeah.
And what we did, I say we, the royal we, Jazz and Barb put together a series of Groovi plates that Louise will be showcasing during that course and the courses coming up ahead as well, because they're perfect. They're a series of baby plates. Let me swap those over for you now so you can see. This is the Floral Frames and Sentiments A6 Square Groovi Plate Collection. And you can check them out on the website. You can go back and watch Sunday's TV show. You can also check out Barbara's blog, which is barbaragrayblog.com. And Barb really sort of broke it down, the reasoning behind it. And again, it's all about that sort of community building as well. There'll be a questions and answers room, so you can go in there, ask the tutors questions.
Yeah.
You can get to know your fellow classmates, and it doesn't matter where in the world you are.
No.
The only thing is, depending on where you are, it's 1 o'clock UK time. You may have to get up a little bit early if you want to join in the live.
Or stay up a bit late.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's there to, in a way, talking about the white work now that you're going to share with us, Louise, if I'd had something like this, I know that I would have saved so much parchment.
Yes. And we're going to be showing, before we get started into the main project for the white work, we'll be going over, you know, how much pressure to put on and all of the different techniques on the mats that you can use and the tools and everything. So it really breaks down every single thing that you will need to know for your white work.
Absolutely. And then later on in the year, we'll then have 3 sessions just on white work, shadow embossing, using the various different tools. Then later on, we're having a bit of a summer break, summer holidays, so to speak. And then the next series of 3 sessions will be based on colour work, which is pencils, the pens, the Perca colour pens, the Dorso crayons, and the various colouring on the back, colouring on the front, painting techniques as well. And then the final collection on that one will then be a bit more detail on your picot cutting, multi-needle tools. We'll be setting you homework.
You can hear the groans. Oh no, like in school.
Yeah, I gave up homework years ago. It's going to be really sort of interactive. And I think it's another way of learning in the comfort of your own home as well.
And learning it over and over again. You know, in a year's time, they'll still be there. So if you haven't done Groovi for a little while, you can go back and learn it again.
Absolutely. Maybe you just need to refresh on something. Now, Louise did this or Paul did that. What did they do? Oh, I know, I can go back in the classroom.
And for me as well, even though I know quite a lot, it's something that if I wasn't doing it, I would want to join in just for the community and just spending some time crafting.
And I suppose it's also that refresher course as well, that maybe the way in which you do something that works for you, maybe you didn't know of other different ways of doing something. So sometimes, and having that shareability as well.
Yeah, so I will be teaching as much knowledge as I have from all of the tutors I've learned, collate it together and just give everybody as much knowledge as possible in those 3 hours.
There we go. So the information for that 123 online course, the item number for that is 60220. It's £60. There isn't any club discount on there. However, you do get double loyalty points.
Like double loyalty points.
Double loyalty points are good. Okay, so should we go back and look at some white work then, Louise?
Yes. So let me bring in my Groovi guard, just because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on here. So I think I'm going to start.
I'm going to zoom in a little. Sorry, Louise.
Oh yes.
So we can come in a little bit closer, and then we can reposition where we're working. There we go.
There we are. Right, so let's start. So with the circles, I'm just doing the very inner circle on here. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using an up and down motion.
Yeah.
And a side to side motion. Because what will happen is a lot of people, when they start, they want to go like a donut. And then what you're left with is a donut. You have like this little circle and you can't quite get the inner part. It's still like,
because of the size of the ball tool.
So I'm just going to be going, now this is quite a large ball tool.
So is this the number 4 you're using from the starter kit?
Yes, this is number 4. So I'm just going side to side, up and down, and then round and round. And I'm only using a very light pressure. I'm not pressing too hard. And what I'll do is I will go in again. That will need 2 layers, I think, just to make it pure white.
Okay.
But I'm not going to press too hard because what you'll end up with is a really raised dot. So at the moment, we have, let me just move it up a bit. We have this. Where are we? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so we can see we've got that beginning to look like a white dot in the middle.
We have. So, and then I'm just going to do the same with this flower center. Just move that there. There we go. Again, up and down.
Yeah.
Side to side.
Okay. I'm going to try coming in on the side camera. Let's see what we can get on that one. See if that's any different. It's getting used to the cameras, isn't it? Just on the positioning, and so that our friends at home can see.
So it's here. Can we see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. So I've done the up and down motion, and now I'm just doing the round and round motion. There we go. So
you're going to work your way all the way around.
I am.
Do you tend to do all the circles first?
I think that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably do all the flower centers first, and then I can use the flicker motion for the petals.
Okay.
And the leaves.
Sounds very technical, but I'm sure it's not.
It's very therapeutic as well, doing white work, just like every other thing, really. It's just this repetitive thing. If you've got lots of circles.
So if you're worried about how much pressure to apply, what would you suggest?
I would suggest if people are struggling, I would say you probably use the pink mat for beginners because it doesn't give you as much leeway as a black mat.
Okay.
So with the black mat, it's very spongy. And if you press too hard on it, you're going to get a real raised embossing, and it will start to look really lumpy from the front.
We don't want lumpy.
We don't want lumpy bumpy.
No.
So with the pink mat, sometimes for beginners, it just gives you that, it's a bit more forgiving.
Yes.
And you can also use a 1-layer cello bag, like a little cellophane sheet. That gives you extra friction, so you can't quite get that.
So you could use that cellophane bag, like what your Groovi plate comes in. You could use that, couldn't you, on your black mat to create a little bit more of a resist.
Yeah, so that would work on the black one. And also, if you're doing white work on the front,
yes.
So if you wanted to deboss, then you would use that cellophane sheet on the front, so you wouldn't get that shine that you would.
And I'm sure you're going to cover that in a little bit more detail on one of those white work sessions.
I will indeed.
Okay. So there we go. We'll go back on the overhead again.
Lovely.
I think this is sort of quite interesting because obviously Louise makes beautiful pieces of artwork, and to do what she's doing now, I mean, Barb and I have been doing this for many a year, and we've got years of experience of doing TV as well. So it comes very naturally to us. And it was quite interesting working with Louise the other day when you created the piece of artwork to share with us on Sunday.
Oh yes.
And so obviously, for those of you that are familiar, we create a download of the demo for our Clarity Social TV. So I said to Louise, right, what we need to do is make a list of everything you've used to create this card. Now, the nature of the beast with parchment art is that you can take a piece of line art, use it on coloured parchment, use it on designer parchment, put it onto a piece of card, job done. But as you become more addicted, so to speak, you'll then look at introducing the white work, like Louise's here, or colour. And I remember when we used to go up to the TV channel that was up in Crate and Craft up in Hochanda, up in Peterborough, we'd write notes out for the producers so they knew exactly what we were using.
Oh yes.
And Groovi was always a very, very long list. So I said to Louise, I said, right, okay, I said, so you've created your beautiful piece of artwork, now make a list of what you've used. And we often forget what it is we're actually using. So you go to, well, I've used the plate, I've used the pencils, I've used all the different bits and pieces, etc. And sometimes it's the obvious, like we always use Groovi tabs. We always use the Groovi guard whilst we're working. And so Louise wrote the list out, and then we sat down together and I said, oh, did you use this? Oh yeah. Did you use it? Oh yeah. Because it's just something that we do automatically.
It is, yeah.
So I set Louise a little task.
Homework.
And said, it was a little bit of homework, wasn't it, really?
It was.
So what would it? So I'm going to ask our friends at home to do this little bit of homework as well.
Oh.
Okay, and I think you'll find it quite interesting. So I said to Louise, next time she's making a card, okay, if it's possible, start with a blank desk, okay, and then as you start to create your piece of artwork, what you're using, put it in a box to one side. And then when you finish that piece of artwork, literally everything, if you've used brads, put the extra brads in a box. If you've used the one needle bold to make a hole, put that in the box. And it's quite surprising what is involved in making a piece of artwork, isn't it?
It is, yeah. There's a lot of ingredients for Groovi.
There is, but once you've got them, a lot of them are staple, like the pencils, the tools, the starter kit. Once you've got that starter kit, you'll be using it all the time. So just as a little bit of homework, next time you come to create a piece of Groovi art, or even if you're doing some stamping art, start with a clear desk, and then I think you would surprise yourself on what it is you're actually using.
Yes, which, like you say, most people have it at home now, but there are a lot of ingredients involved. You don't really think of it. It's tumble dry sheets, sticker tabs.
Yeah.
It's literally everything that I've used.
And because we're sharing with our friends, and we've got friends that are tuning in for the first time, and they want to be able to replicate that, then in a way it's like a tick list, isn't it?
It is a tick list so you can create that piece of art. You know that you have everything ready for you.
Absolutely. And if at home, if you're creating it, then you know you've obviously got that. And if you want to take part in the 1, 2, 3 online courses, then what we've done, if you go to the product on the website and scroll right down to the bottom, I did add, as requested on Sunday, an ingredients list on what you will use over that 3 weeks course. And I bet you'll be surprised. You probably got all, or most, if not all of those products, because it's stuff that we go to again and again. And you'll probably surprise yourself thinking, oh yeah, I forgot about that Groovi guard. I forgot about sticker tabs. But it's that tick list so that when the course starts, and the course starts on Wednesday, the 2nd of April, and that'll be in our inner circle at 1 p.m. And you're thinking, oh, I've got an appointment that day, or I've got to work that afternoon. Doesn't matter, because as soon as that live's finished, it'll be available for you to go and watch. and the pre-record will also be released at that same point as well.
Yes, and when you've finished watching it, if you do have any questions, and like you say, there's that Q&A.
Yeah.
I'll always be on hand if you wanted to ask a question about anything that I've taught during the
particular
3-hour
session.
lesson.
Yeah.
So there's an extra bit of teacher help.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
So you're just working your way around.
I am. I'm just slowly working around. I'm creating the little sprigs now.
Okay.
I'm just doing the little bit of white work in those. So there's quite a few of those around here.
And do you work sort of? You probably don't even think about it. Do you go clockwise? Do you go anti-clockwise? Do you start in a particular place? Everyone does things differently, don't they?
Yeah, well, I seem to, from this, it looks like I'm working anti-clockwise, but I don't usually have a method in my madness. I just keep on just going round.
Just mad.
I'm just mad. There we go.
And we're on the number 3 tool on these ones for the smaller areas.
Yes, this is the number 3 tool. They're a bit too small to use the number 4. I wonder if is anybody actually doing this along with us? That'd be interesting to know.
I don't know, because I'm not, because Jane is obviously keeping an eye on the chat. So I'm sure. I know many of our friends at home, they like to tune in, watch, see what's happening, and then when they've got some time to themselves, they like to then sort of go back and re-watch.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people love to watch it and then have a chat. It's that community again, isn't it?
It is.
Everybody's having I'd see the chat afterwards, and it's so lovely to see everybody getting really involved and chatting with each other. There we go. So you do get lost in it sometimes.
You do. So can we have a look and see what you've done so far?
Yeah. So far, they may need just another layer, but I don't want to press too hard. So we've done these 3 flowers, just the little sprigs on the end.
Yeah.
And we've done all of the centres on the flowers.
Okay.
So that's where we are. Just going to keep on working. Oh, let me move that up a bit. There we go. On the group card.
And for a piece of artwork of this size, or the size in which you're applying that white work, how many layers would you usually do?
Depends how large the flower is, but all of this white work I will just go over a second layer.
Right.
When it's rested, just because just to get it that lovely bright white.
What do you mean by rested?
So I would rest it overnight. So what happens with parchment is when you push into the parchment and you push the fibres in, if you keep on going and you think, oh, I want to add another layer straight after, what will happen is the parchment will just raise, and it will become lumpy bumpy again.
Lumpy bumpy again.
Which we don't want. Well, some people might like it, you know. But yeah, so this way, just using the light pressure, it won't make them too raised and bumpy. You'd be surprised, there's a lot of white work actually involved on this piece.
But I suppose you have choices, don't you?
You do.
I mean, obviously, you're replicating exactly what Tina has created on her piece of artwork.
But you could use colour, couldn't you?
You could.
You don't have to use the white work. If you don't want to use the white work on this piece, you can colour in with the perga colours or the perga liners.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lovely alternative, wouldn't it?
It would, to have a little bit of colour.
I know when I was first starting out, colour would have been my option at this stage.
Yeah.
if I felt uncomfortable trying to do white work in all these different areas, I'd probably do it on those little bits you're doing now.
Yeah.
But then
they don't seem so foreboding, do they? Just
No.
these little bits.
No, they're little sort of
Bit more
achievable.
forgiving, aren't they?
Yeah.
When I first started, I used the Perga colours a lot.
The double-ended pens.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I wasn't confident at that point to do white work, and I had a lot of colour.
Yeah.
So here we go. So, oh no, I haven't done one sprig. Oh, there we go. I've missed one. Little monkey.
Yeah.
Cheeky. Right, one more, and then I will show you how far we've got.
Okay. And as you say, it's that process, isn't it? And you've got the choices whether you do colour, whether you do white work, and because the line art's giving you that confidence. I know when I first tried to get this right, I really struggled with white work. I really wasn't happy with it. And I remember many of our friends probably heard this story and think, oh, here he goes again. Was at Barb's at the studio above the garage, and we was prepping for some Groovi shows on TV back in the day. And this was very early days. And I just could not get the white work. So I thought, well, I'll just colour it with a white pencil because it looks white from the front.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you that raised part, which is the beauty of parchment craft, isn't it, really?
It is.
That texture. And I said, you can't come on TV and show a traditional skill like this and do white work with a pencil. I went, okay.
Why not?
So I had to be patient.
Okay, so
shall I zoom out so we can have a look at where we've got to?
So we're from the front now. So we've done the little sprigs in the flowers.
Yeah.
And we have also done the centres of these flowers here. So this one, and then the 4 in the middle, and then the 4.
Okay, and then if I bring Tina's piece in so we can sort of just, you can see it. So
yeah,
the piece is on here.
Yeah, so Tina's probably done another layer on here to get that lovely bright white, which I think maybe that could be our homework.
Yes.
For this week is
blimey, setting homework already.
I know. So if everybody has got to this stage where they've done the flower centres and the sprigs,
yeah,
then the homework could be to do another layer tomorrow.
Yeah.
On the little sprigs and everything, just to get that lovely bright white.
Okay,
look.
Perfect. So where are we going now then with our white work?
So I think we will do a little bit of these flowers now.
Okay, the larger of the daisies.
The larger flowers, yes. So I can show you.
So I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer now. There we go.
So, it's on my lap. There we go. So I like to flick away from me. Some people like to flick towards.
Yeah.
It just depends how you're comfortable.
Okay.
So what I'm going to be doing, let me just show you here. I'm just going to be flicking. So you might not see.
Let's try it on this camera.
Let me show you over here.
You can come back down to about there. There we go.
There we go. So just literally just flicking. Push and flick.
So it's like striking a match, isn't it?
Yes.
Where you strike and you lift away.
You do, yes. So that's the technique.
Okay.
So let me. Oh, lovely. Okay, so I'm going to use it on this flower.
So lovely Jane has just messaged, and apparently, Louise,
yes.
Everyone is coming up with excuses for not doing homework.
Oh, that sounds like school.
Don't worry. I mean, it's not compulsory.
It's not necessary.
It's not compulsory. There's no detention. No one's going to be sent to the naughty corner. So you're starting from the outer part of the petals, you said earlier.
I am, yes. So starting from the outside and just flicking in.
Okay.
And again, these will need a few layers just to get that lovely whiteness that Tina has used.
And more sort of in-depth white work will be covered on, I mean, Louise will be introducing it to us in the foundation course.
Yes.
But maybe you feel, okay, well, I'm happy with my white work, my basic understanding of white work. You haven't got to start with the foundation and then move on to the others. The foundation is a completely standalone 1, 2, 3 course. So if you feel that later in the year, when we release the other 1, 2, 3 courses, that maybe you just want to become a little bit more confident with the white work, then there will be a 1, 2, 3 online course session in, I'm just finding it on my list. There we go, because we've already set the term for the whole year. So if you wanted to just look at white work in more detail, then that will be on the 4th of June, the 11th and the 18th. So that's that same 1, 2, 3 block of courses. If you're thinking, oh, I want to go to colour first, then that will be available to you. We'll be kicking that off on the 3rd of September, the 10th and the 17th. And then if you're thinking, okay, I'm happy with my white work, I'm happy with my colouring, then I'm going to hang around until firework night.
Ooh.
Remember the 5th of November. The Pico cutting and multi-needle tools will be kicking off with a bang on Wednesday, the 5th of November, the 12th and the 19th. And these are all individual classrooms, so to speak. And to get that key to get into them will give you access again and again and again. Doesn't take long, does it, really?
No.
See, what I quite like about this collection of all-in-one plates from Tina is that I haven't got to think about composition. No. Tina has created that for me already.
All you've got to think about is the added techniques that you want to add to the piece of artwork. So
now I've just noticed, Louise, you've changed to a different tool.
Right? Yes, I have.
Okay, so this is
the 3.
Okay, so this is the Pergamano 3mm ball tool. Let's have a look on the camera over here. Okay, if you hold that steady, it's got a number 3 on the end of it, just there. So Louise is using that one for this area.
For the flowers, yes.
There we go. I mean, hats off to Louise. I mean, me and Barb make this look so easy when we're doing this. Seriously, it's not easy.
Hats off to you and Barb.
Poor Louise. Poor Louise. I'm giving her little signs like move up a bit, move to the left a bit, move to the right a bit, all off camera.
Become so engrossed in the artwork.
Yeah. And it is that sort of, we do it automatically now, the same as I was talking earlier about when we make a card, we just at home, we just do it automatically, don't we? We don't think about what it is we've used, whether it be your die cutting, your stamping, you're doing stencil work. And so when it's a real skill to be able to demonstrate, to talk, and to look where the camera is.
So a lot of multitasking.
Very multitasking.
You don't realise until you're in that situation.
Absolutely. There we go. And would you believe it or not, Louise, it's 1 minute to 11 already.
Wow. Where has the time gone?
Well, if you're looking to sort of lose some time, then this is where Groovi really does have that benefit, doesn't it?
It's mindfulness, isn't it? It's,
yeah.
You know, it's like colouring and things like that. It's all that mindfulness of.
Yeah. So should we have a look at where we've got to at this point?
Yes.
So you can really see now how all of a sudden it's got that very subtle shade of whiteness, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And you can see obviously where you still to do those ones just there.
Yeah. So looking at Tina's, I would say she's probably used 2 or 3 light layers on the bigger flowers. So these ones here, because mine are very grey at the moment, because I've only used 1 layer. But Tina's are probably about 3 layers, I'd say there.
You reckon? Yeah.
So there's it's very pretty, isn't it?
So our homework,
yes.
I say our homework.
My homework.
So the homework, what is the homework you're going to set for our friends so that we can pick up next week?
So the homework I would say would be to do the little sprigs.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, do 1 more layer on those. So 2 layers in total we need for those. Flower centres, and then the big flowers, create 3 layers on those.
Okay, and then next week when we come back, you're going to show us how to add the white work to the leaves.
Yep, the leaves, and then these other petals on the outside.
On the other flowers.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
Wow. Can't believe. So sorry, one more question before we go. Sorry, Jane, I just saw that. Laura's asked, could you use the shader tools instead?
You can do, actually, yes.
Yeah.
I've got some shaders here, which I use.
So we've now got the 3 different sizes now, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've now got the 0.8, the 1 mil, and the 1.2. Oh, yes. Excuse me, 1.2.
Yeah, I've only got 2.
And so, yeah, you could definitely. I mean, I like using the shader tools for a particular type of white work, which is the shadow embossing.
Yes, the shader tools are really good for that because you can see through the tool.
Yeah.
So you're still using, I mean, you'd be surprised with the ball tool, you're not using the whole.
Let's look on the overhead just.
Yeah, you're not using, let me get a big one, sorry. You're not using the whole width of the ball tool when you're using your white work. There's only the very
it's the tip of the ball, so to speak, isn't it?
So yeah. You're not, when you look at that, you're not pushing white work into that width.
The whole surface.
No, it's literally just the middle part. So, you know, the difference is, you think the difference between that and
the size of the ball,
the width of the ball is very different.
Yeah.
And then with the shader, the good thing about the shader is you have more width to it.
Oh yes, I can see that. Yeah.
So that is why that creates that beautiful shadow embossing, is because there's more width. So there's a lot more, less likely to make that
more of a surface area, isn't
look.
there?
Yeah. Yes. So there's more surface to cover. So that's why the shaders are very good.
Perfect. There we go. I hope that's answered your question. I think that's everything. So thank you for joining us again this week. What are we up to this week? Where are we now? We're Tuesday. So Thursday evening at 7 p.m. in the Shack with Barb. I think colouring with that lovely floral alphabet poster.
Oh, lovely, yes.
And then on Friday at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, Barb will be launching a brand new, it's all about, March is all about Japan.
Oh, I love Japan.
Barb and Dave wanted to go to Japan, but obviously had his knee op, so they won't be travelling anywhere too far for a while. So Barb decided, well, we can't go to Japan. Let's bring Japan to Clarity.
That's a good idea, yeah.
So there's, Barb gave a sneak peek yesterday in the Shack. So it's the Japanese butterfly, flowers and butterflies, A5 stamp set. Brand new,
I like them.
brand new on those. So Barb will be showcasing those. I'll be here as well. We're going to try and broadcast from both studios. I'm going to have the artwork here. I'll show that off, and then Barb will be doing the demonstration from studio number 2. And then at 2 o'clock we'll be back again, and I'll be showing the same designs in our lovely fresh cut dies and also our Groovi plates as well.
They're very beautiful in the Groovi plates as well. I've got those at home.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to lovely Jane as always for help. And Thursday night, back in the shack at 7 p.m. Otherwise, if you can't join us for the rest of the week, don't forget you can always go back and watch on catch up.
Yeah.
So if you're working like we are and you can't tune in live, then you can go back and watch them afterwards. Otherwise, we will see you again next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, take care now.
Take care, everyone.